Hello, Doug here from the Hundredfold Journey. Thanks for joining us on this Wednesday Night Live, where you get the opportunity to engage or listen in on a discussion with the Hundredfold leadership team. And tonight it's Rashi and I. So hello, Rashi.
Hi, everybody.
So thanks for joining us. Hundredfold is all about a group of people that are looking to find their true identity, and by doing so, finding God's true identity. So Hundredfold, we want to come alongside of you and provide you with tools and resources. And some of that is our Wednesday Night Live effort, where we talk about different topics. It might be meditation. It might be topics where we're doing our challenges. And for example, our May, even though it's not a challenge, but it's Miraculous May, and we're sharing with you guys miracles in people's lives that hopefully would be an inspiration, a tool in your tool belt that says, hey, if that can happen for Michael, or if that can happen for Cindy, then that can happen for me. And it just another tool in your toolbox. So that's what Wednesday night is all about. And tonight we kind of have an open discussion with Sunday being Mother's Day, this last Sunday, Rashi being a mom. I thought we would take this opportunity and just kind of talk about motherhood and some of the things that Rashi is doing to help her in her spiritual walk and her spiritual journey, and maybe some of the insights, and we might even hear some miracles that have developed in her life. You know, sometimes we might not see them for what those are, but they are truly miracles in our life. So maybe we might be able to uncover some of those. So we're not scripted here. This is just an open discussion. So with that said, Rashi, thanks again for tonight.
Yes, thank you for having me, Doug. Good evening, everybody. So for those of you that may not know me or have not possibly seen any of our videos with that where I'm included, I am a part of the Hundredfold, the leadership team of Hundredfold. And essentially, I just support Doug in his endeavor. And this is his whole idea. This is his whole theme. And
Our
this is
our
our, yes, but I mean, it's mainly this is you. And I think you're the driver, right? Basically, we're in this vessel together. We're
There we
this
go.
vehicle together. We're driving it. And I'm just supporting as much as I can and in whatever way, whether it's creating graphics, whether it's helping out with the challenges, whether it's helping out with whatever you have it. So yeah, that's that. And I'm yeah looking forward to this journey with everybody and going into a little bit about myself. I'm a young mom of two boys, and I've been married for about 6 years. And my husband and I, we actually met in high school, so we've known each other for quite some time, and we've been through our fair share of ups and downs and challenges, and beautiful things together. And we've created these two beautiful boys. They're a year apart, and
And just share their ages again.
so they're 5 and 6
Five and
currently.
six.
Yes. And interesting story with that, actually, I'd like to get into is, I was told at one point in my life that I wasn't going to be able to have children.
Oh wow.
I struggle with some health issues with, you know, I just struggled. And so, one day I went in and, I was having trouble with something, and the doctor said, look, we'll run some tests and stuff like that. And it ended up that I was pregnant, but I think I miscarried shortly after. So I did have a miscarriage also. And
Oh wow.
the doctor was like, your body's just not receiving pregnancy well, I guess. And so that really disheartened me,
Mm.
and I was like, and I shared this with my husband, and he was like, it's okay. Like, we'll figure it out. And he was, of course, very supportive, but that was hard on me. That was really just because that was the one thing that I always wanted, was to have children. And
Now, now, culturally, with your background, is that how is that viewed? Right? Is having kids and all of that really important? And so there's an added pressure, right?
oh,
Is
yes,
that
definitely.
true?
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. So
Okay.
culturally, I come from India, and so in our society, it's very set. Like, your career is set. Like, you're either a doctor or an engineer. Okay. Once you become one of those two, then you're off, they're going to start looking. The arranged marriage is actually still practiced, right? And although things have changed a little bit, but it's still a lot of people still practice that. And so I was given that option as well. I was given that kind of, not in a very like enforced way, but I was told that, okay, you're of age, we need to start looking for you, or we need to start, and so at that time, my husband and I were kind of on and off, and we were friends. And so love marriage is not, it's not looked at as a very good thing, I guess, in a way, but it
Interesting.
really depends. And so
Yeah.
my dad luckily was pretty supportive, where I kind of gave into his demands a little bit, where I said, here, look, we have to come to an understanding that I'm not going to spend the rest of my life with a stranger.
Yeah.
There's
Right.
no way in the world
Right.
that can happen.
Right.
So definitely there's a very like strict plan that's almost kind of planned out for you, when you're young, and parents, and it's not just your parents, you have to understand, it's everybody that's involved. It's your grandparents, your uncles, your aunts, the whole shebang.
Yes.
Everybody has to like kind of figure out what to do with you.
Yes.
And you're over here like, no, I think you guys should just get out of my life and let me do what I want to do.
Right.
And so, and in that sense, I've always been the rebel in my family. Like I'm the kind of the outcast, because I'm like, you can't tell me what to do,
Yeah.
and especially since my parents, split up. I come from divorced parents, and so they felt like because my mom was not in the picture, they felt like they had more of an authority on me, and
Right.
I was like, that's not okay. So but yeah, so anyway, interestingly enough, life panned out a little bit differently, and I'm happy, I'm happy it worked out the way that it did, because then my children wouldn't be here. When I was told that my children, I couldn't have any,
Right.
and both of my boys just are a gift to me.
So how long between that miscarriage and your first?
So within, I want to say 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah, within even maybe it might just be a year. It was not too long after, but yeah. And then, I was working at the time of my first pregnancy. That was a little bit stressful, and just thinking about all the things that, like, as mothers, what we go through, right? Like, again, we're talking about this because it was Mother's Day last weekend, and
Yep.
it's not just that we don't need necessarily a set day. It's beautiful that we have one special set day as mothers.
Yep.
But again, I think it's each day, each little thing, like, when your children just come up to you and give you a hug, and just
There
for no
you go.
reason,
Right.
that just that little bit of appreciation goes a long way.
Yes.
And for me, like, one of the little things also is like when my boys really get along, because as they're getting older, they're constantly fighting. Everything is a fight.
Yep.
So I really truly treasure the moments that they're so like nice and quiet,
Yes.
and like very loving towards each other.
So being a mom then, so let's take that.
Yes,
So
exactly.
how do you support and encourage that loving atmosphere? And then when they go crazy and they're butting heads,
Yes,
how do you manage, how do you juggle that, those two dynamics?
definitely. I mean, first and foremost, it all starts with me,
Okay. Yeah.
because if I'm
Good.
not okay, nothing's going to be okay.
Right.
To some extent now, kind of going back a little bit on what going through pregnancy and then having postpartum. I think postpartum is one thing that moms
Yes.
don't talk about.
Right.
And it's not an easy thing to go through, because you're almost so consumed in it that you don't know you're in it, and suddenly, I mean, for me, it was an instant. First pregnancy, second pregnancy, I don't think I had it, because maybe I was too busy. I was juggling too many things, the two boys. But the first pregnancy, I clearly remember 6 months to the date of, I think my son was 6 months old. And so 6 months later, I just suddenly, it was like this, like something clicked, and I was like, wow, okay, wait, where was I? Why was I so hard on myself? It was almost like this alternative personality that had taken over.
Yeah.
And that was hard. That was really hard. I mean, that was challenging, because I was around many people. I was living with my in-laws, we had family, but I was so alone.
Yeah.
It was being surrounded by people, a room full of people, but you're feeling so lonely. It's like, it's a very, it's an uneasy feeling to describe, I guess. It's not, something that is hard to, I mean, it's easy to describe, but it's real, you know?
Yeah.
And so I definitely want to encourage moms to like just go through it. I mean, I can't say don't go through it. It's not going to happen to you. You're going to be fine. Just,
Right.
be a champ and snap out of it. No, just go through it. Go through your emotions. Know that it's okay. Know that it's valid. Nobody needs to like, you know, clarify or kind of, um, do anything to kind of make you feel like that you're wrong or you're not doing enough or
So did you know you were going through that at the time, or was it not until you look back and says, wow, that was
That's
postpartum?
exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like, although there was an instantaneous kind of like pop or something in my
Yeah.
mind, like
Yeah.
just the switch, of like, where was I? But then it still took time to then have to look back and be like, what was that time?
Yeah.
It was so sad. And like,
Mm.
one thing I regret is like my firstborn, I never took him out anywhere. I didn't want to go
Mm.
anywhere. I was just like,
Interesting.
yeah, I was like, just want to be in my room. We would have get people come over to see the baby. I wouldn't want to be with them. I would
Yeah.
want to just be by myself and kind of, just it was very strange. And
Mm.
and I mean, now that I look it back at myself and I'm like, here I am just talking about it
Yeah.
without any, kind of hesitation. It's I'm proud of myself for coming through that and surviving that. So
Yeah. Just interesting that you're not aware that at the time that
yeah,
you were going through that. How would you describe it? Would it be like a depression or a fogginess where you're just not thinking clearly, tired all the time? I mean, what? So I'm just thinking about some moms out there that some new moms
definitely.
might be listening, and they might say, "Hey, those are kind of my symptoms." Just curious.
Definitely, yes. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. So definitely moms with newborns. I mean, you're exhausted, right?
Yeah,
You're going through so much. I mean, internally with the hormones, you're not happy with the way you look, your body's just gone through like this perhaps the most traumatic moment,
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
it's a lot. And so yeah, definitely mental fog, just very sensitive. Like I just, I needed kind of maybe that support and I didn't have that.
Yep,
Or maybe I didn't allow that support to
yep,
be there for me,
right.
I think that's, if I look at it that way, I understand that a lot of it was what I contributed to myself without sounding like a victim.
Yeah,
I definitely just kind of was like, I need my space, I need to kind of just go through it.
yeah,
And then it was okay, it's not easy, it's easier for me to say it now, but just go through it
hmm,
and feel what you're feeling again. Like it's
yeah,
just it's something that you just have to naturally get through.
yeah,
And once you do, you're going to come out so much stronger,
right.
right? Because you're going to look back and be like, oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
for sure. Well, I'm up to two miracles so far. I'll keep
Yes.
counting, but the first one was that after your miscarriage, that a year later, that you were able to give birth, right when you weren't sure whether that was even possible. So that's
Right.
definitely a miracle.
Right.
And then the second one is after 6 months of the postpartum to be able to have that snap and to be able to come out and then now be able to look back at that and say, wow, I went through that and I survived. So, God was with you through that whole time. So, you've got two miracles right there that you've been brought along. And so,
Yes. And just,
anyways, so keep going.
yeah. And so, okay. So yeah, so just getting through that. And then, of course, juggling two boys that are a year apart. I had help, I had a little bit of help, but I've done most of it on my own. And
Yeah.
I think I chose to do that for
So
myself
you're
because
So again, for the listeners, you're a stay-at-home mom,
I am a stay-at-home mom, correct?
right?
Yes.
And your husband, full time, so he's away, during the day. So
Yes.
you are literally juggling two boys and a household
Yes.
on your own. Not by
Yes.
yourself, but while he's gone, right? So
Definitely. And like I was saying earlier, I mentioned to you earlier, my in-laws were with us. And so I did have a little bit of support here and there. But again, like I said, I just wanted to take responsibility 100% on my own because coming from maybe divorced parents, I didn't have my mom around. And I just wanted to be that, the extra,
Hmm.
like extra loving, extra caring. Like I'm over the top mom, but at the same time, I've learned my way to kind of give my children the space, and not
Yep.
be this like mushy mom like all the time, right? Like,
All right.
and as they're getting older, although I do miss those moments and these cuddles and all of that stuff, the baby them, right?
Hmm.
But I'm really proud of who they're turning out to be. It's pretty amazing to see them grow. And as they've grown, as they are growing, I'm learning so much about myself. I'm learning so much with them. And
Yes.
then I think the most amazing thing is seeing the world through their eyes, right?
Ah, there you
Like
go. Yes.
just seeing what they would see and what their perspective is on things. Cause it's so interesting. Like they'll say
Hmm.
the most random things, and it's like, oh, interesting. Like, how did you think of that? Or, like, or they'll say something looks like something else. And I'm like, whoa, I would have never thought that. So it's like their imagination is
Uh-huh.
right. And what I find really interesting now is that like when we're children, we're taught to kind of like come out of that, if it's
Yes.
slowly. And then when you're trying to find yourself again, either through God, either through spirituality, through religion, you kind of have to like then rewire all of that
Come back
and
to
come
that.
back. It's like full circle,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So it's like learn, unlearn, and then relearn, right?
Yes.
Like this
Yep.
process. So that's where I've been. I mean, I've really had to kind of, and so being a stay-at-home mom, my son, as they were of school age, I put them into school, and we were happy. I mean, they've learned so much. They've come a long way.
Yep.
Now that I think of it, actually, another beautiful miracle that I can look back on is my eldest son. Everybody's different, but we would get like questions like, oh, why is he not walking? Why is he still crawling? Oh, he's not
Yes.
talking. Why is he
Yes.
not talking? So we struggle with that as well in the
Yep.
beginning. And I put him into school and the teachers were like, he's not talking,
Mm.
like you need to do something about it. You need to possibly do speech therapy or something. I said, I'm not going to do that. Like they said, oh, evaluate him for autism perhaps. And I said,
Oh
yeah,
my
I don't,
gosh,
yeah,
really?
yeah. And I was,
Oh
I
my
was like
gosh.
really getting hard on myself. I'm like, what did I do wrong?
Yeah,
Like,
right, right.
where did I go wrong? Excuse me. Mm. And so eventually I said, like maybe we can try something different. And, we worked on it. And now I can't get him to be quiet. Like, like now I have to tell him, I think your turn is up. Like,
That's right.
back off a little bit. Give it like
It's like a
his
switch,
spirit.
right? Just all of a sudden turned on. It's like, oh
Oh
no.
yeah. And he's just been on since then.
Yeah.
It's not turning off. And funny thing now is he loves to do like show and tell. So within our groups, kind of going back to his schooling, now we're homeschooling and we've been homeschooling for almost a year,
Mhm.
going on a year. And, we're very happy. So now in these homeschool, we're part of a group and we're part of, like even when we go on play dates with friends, they like to do, him and his buddies like to do show and tell. So they'll each bring a toy and they'll share something about it and everybody will listen. And then at the end,
Yeah.
they'll ask questions.
Yeah.
And he just goes on and on. And I'm like, okay, now it's your brother's turn. Wait, okay,
Right.
now it's
All
your
right.
friend's
Come on
turn.
now. Time's
Okay, yeah.
up.
So that's where we've come, and we've come a long way since. And I think it's such a miracle, and I think it's such a beautiful thing that just happened, like,
Yeah.
and that I put my faith in God and I put my faith in myself, really, because myself is God, right?
Right.
Myself is that spirit of God. I really put my faith in myself, and I'm really thankful to God for giving me that, that even that inclination to do that,
Yes, that's right.
that I
Because
didn't
you
allow
had
the
an
fear.
inner knowing that he was
Yes.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And I
So
allowed
in other
him
words,
to
trust
blossom.
your motherly instincts.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that is a big thing because
Yeah.
we put ourselves in the hands of others all the time. Like we
Yes.
put our children in the hands of others all the time. Healthcare, teachers, everything. And not to say that they're like bad people. Not all of
Yeah.
them are bad, and not all of them have, bad intentions. But at the same time, there's nobody that would know your child better than you,
Correct.
especially because they come from us. They physically come from us, so there's just this connection that's not going to go away, like it's almost like it's weird. It's going to sound weird to you, and I hope that it doesn't freaky out or something. But I almost feel like our umbilical cords are like still attached, or the umbilical cords. Like it may sound weird, and it may sound like, oh, she probably just wants to like keep her kids close or something. You know, judgments are passed all the time, but that's not my intention. My intention is to share that it's this, like, you almost feel this physical feeling of
Yep.
being connected to your child.
Right.
And it's indescribable almost, because you can't, there's a feeling with it, you know, like.
Yes.
And after becoming a mother, you know, I'm not so close to my mom, my own mom,
Yep.
but my mom would always say, like, you know, there's nobody else that's going to feel for you the way I feel for you. And I truly did not understand that until I
Right.
became a
Yeah.
mother,
Did not
right?
make sense. Right.
Because I'm like, not that I don't love other children and all children, but the way that I love my own, you know, it's
Yeah. That's
like,
right.
yeah,
Very unique.
it's very unique. So again, just trust that gut feeling, trust
Right.
that inner knowing. You know, God is with you, and he's created these little ones through us, right?
That's right.
We're the vessel that he used to bring
That's right.
these beautiful souls into this world, right?
Right.
And
Co-creating.
co-create,
Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
literally, you
Yeah.
know. And so why not take care of our bodies? Why not, I mean, and why not, like, appreciate what we do? Because a lot of women lose that kind of sense of who they are, because they don't realize how powerful they are, you know. I mean, it's not easy to go through what we go through, and then
Right.
emotionally to handle all of that, and then be able to kind of understand that there's a sense of responsibility now, and there's
Hmm.
what you can do for your family and for your children. Nobody else can do that, right?
Right.
So it's like all of this kind of pulled together, and you just have to go through it. And once you go through it, you come out, man, you come out like, so in Hinduism, we have, you know, the goddesses with the multiple arms,
Oh,
right?
right.
I don't know
Yep.
if you've seen those,
I have.
but,
Yep.
and I always wondered, I'm like, why? And what is the, you know, and just what is the reasoning behind that? And not until literally like maybe a week ago, I'm like, this makes a whole lot of sense. Women are literally multitaskers. How
All
many
right.
things do women handle?
That's
You
right.
know, whether it's like as simple as cooking a meal, or, you know, reading a book with your child, or, you know, like just anything and everything, taking the garbage out, or,
Hmm.
you know, so there's like this sense of like, um, again, responsibility, without putting any pressure on anybody, but, you know,
Right.
things you can
Yeah. And
do.
I think that illustration, and I know what you're talking about, the lady, and there's like 12 hands or 12 arms coming
Yes,
from her back. And those are all, individual, responsibilities or things that she's
yes,
doing. So, speaking of that, so being a stay-at-home mom with two kids that you're homeschooling, I know that you have a resource that you've pulled on with a group of mothers, and I'd
yes.
really like to have you speak to that and encourage mothers to reach out in their community,
Yes.
to either start one or find one. So maybe could you talk about that a little bit?
Yes, definitely. So I'm so grateful that I have come across, you know, just some wonderful women, mothers that have welcomed me into their groups, into their communities. And I'm able to then get my kids out there and socializing, and, you know, we all get together and the mothers feel great because we share our concerns, and it's just so healthy, and it's so much needed for all of us, you know. So I
Hmm.
would definitely encourage all moms to, you know, either start one, either if it's just, even if it's just a couple of you, even if it's like two, three of you, you
Right.
know, you guys can move mountains. You don't know how powerful you are,
Yeah.
you know.
How did
And
you find the group that you're in now? How did you find them?
so in a couple of ways. So initially, I was lucky enough to come across, or to have met, this woman named Amber, and she's part of she started this No Excuse Mom group in Tracy, and, you know, they get together and they exercise. It's a free group. They're on Facebook, and so through that, I've been part of that. I've been a part of that for almost 2 years, but I wasn't really active in it. And so January 1st of this year, New
Yep.
Year's,
New
I
Year's
decided to
resolution.
join
Yeah.
them. Yep. I decided to join them. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go out and venture. I'm going to meet new people. I'm going to start the
Yeah.
year off right. And I'm so grateful that I did that.
Yeah.
We went up to Mission Peak. We climbed Mission Peak. We hiked up there. And then slowly, you know, we did that more often. We went to different places to hike. And through that hiking group, I met another mom named Jenna. And she's created this homeschool group along with many other moms. You know, she was gracious enough to let me in, and she asked me to join. And so it's been so wonderful because we all get together, and you know, the kids are able to get together and make friends and make good memories and learn as well, because it counts for school.
Right.
And so also through that group, within that group, these moms are so wonderful. They also they've started a fellowship of just the moms, the women. And, you know, we just get together and we, you know, discuss things with the Bible and things related to, you know, marriage, and related to just, you know, loving our children and how to just be good mothers. And it's just a wonderful way to kind of pick everybody's mind, and just, you just feel so wholesome. You know, you don't feel alone. You don't feel like you're the only one. You don't feel like your child is the only one throwing the 50 million tantrums that they do in a day, or your other older child is giving you attitude. You know, real life problems here. You know, but then that's what I just keep telling them. I literally say this so many times to these moms every time I see them once a week. You know, I'll be like, I'm so grateful that I'm not the only one. I'm so grateful, you know. And again, you're not alone, you know, as much as you're so within yourself. And like, again, I always say, we spend the most time with ourselves, right? So we really need to be okay with ourselves. We need to accept ourselves for who we are. And that's I think one of the most challenging things I've had to overcome in my life, is accepting myself for who I am. I'm like, well, this is it, you know, like, I'm not, you know. Before, it was like I would identify myself in so many other people and so many other things, you know. And it was just sad. And it's so interesting because I was all day today, I'm thinking about, you know, what I'm going to say tonight, what I'm going to talk about. And I came across this memory. So when I was in the fourth grade, I so when I was in the fourth grade, I had just come from India, right? It was my first time in a American school. And my very first memory was seeing a girl with red hair, and I had never seen anybody with red hair.
Oh, wow. Right.
And I was just blown away, and I would just always, just like in class, I would just stare at her hair. I'm like, you know, and it's still like it was yesterday. So I think also, like, my parents, you know, being immigrants, they don't know, they haven't assimilated to the culture even yet. And so I was so, you know, into identifying myself with other people that I would copy other kids. Right.
Okay.
So whether the way that they looked, the way that they wrote, you know, even down to the way that they held their pencils, like, so like, I wanted to be so much like somebody else, and I was not okay with myself. Right. And so to the point where one time this one of these girls in one of my peers in my class, bought a pair of new shoes, and it was like, I was like, wow, those are really cool shoes. And she was like, yeah, I just got them, you know. And I literally went the same day and got the same pair of shoes.
Oh, wow. Right. Because you wanted to fit in and be like her.
I just wanted to be like her. And so the next day I go to school and I'm wearing my shoes, and she stops talking to me. She didn't want to talk to me.
Oh, man.
So I was, you know, I was like, what happened? And I don't know. And so I think over time I was like, I just kind of let it be. And then eventually somehow she decided to write me a letter, and she explained to me, and I still have that letter. I've saved it.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was actually reading it just recently. I was like, this is like, what was I thinking? But, you know, again, that's who we are. That's how we, you know, that's how circumstances create who we are. Unless we decide to do something about that internally, live from the inside out. Otherwise, you're constantly living from the outside in, right? And that's what I was doing. I was identifying myself so much that people like were resenting me for being like this copycat girl.
Copycat.
Wanted to be so much like me. Like, why, you know? But whereas, you know, I wanted to just tell them, I just want to be like you, or, you know, I think you're so pretty and you're so cool. But again, so going through that from then to now, and it's like, I identify, my whole identity has changed. I identify myself only with God, right? And that's it. And I am who I am. And I'm so like deeply rooted within myself that, you know, that anything that's happening outside is not going to, the weather is not going to affect my roots, you know, my
or
trees.
CNN or Fox News or
no, that's triggering.
right.
Nothing is triggering this stump.
Yeah, there you go. So I think just the lesson learned there, back
Yeah.
to the story about the mothers, is self-care, caring
Yes.
for yourself, and knowing that you can't do it on your own. And actually, the way it kind of all came about, right? It started with just an exercise and just kind of getting out, and then you ended up meeting this person. So,
Yes.
just words of encouragement for those out there is that, um, when you feel that you can't make it on your own, it's right? You
Yes.
can't, because you need a support team, especially now with the homeschooling, and there's more of that with the COVID and all of that. So a lot of these women groups, mother groups are popping up. So I'm
Yes.
sure you can find one, but you have to take the initiative to reach out. And whether you go online, or you join a group. And where did you find that first group? Right, from a year ago, you said that
Yeah. So
how did you
Amber's group.
yeah, how did you come
Yeah.
across Amber?
I met Amber at Chili's actually. She's a waitress at Chili's,
Oh,
and
okay, all right.
she just came up to me and she saw that I was a mom of two boys. I was there with my
Look at
husband
that.
and my kids, and she just gave me her business card, and I was like,
Yep,
thank you, and
yep.
just kind of kept in touch since then.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
again, I like also I just the other thing I wanted to say is just set your intention. Like if you
Yes.
feel that there's something that you really want, you want a supportive group, you want to meet like-minded people, you want to meet you know caring, loving moms, and just wonderful children to be for your children to be around, and just a community thing, just kind of just set that intention, just put it out there, because
Right.
honestly, I've seen that for myself. Like I'll be thinking something and I'll say, man, I wish I had some information on something, for example, or like I wish I could meet somebody that could kind of teach me a little bit about something else. I swear every time, whether it takes a couple of days or whether it takes a few weeks, it always happens. I
Yeah.
always come across somebody that will give me that kind of a message, will kind of share that with me, and I'm just blown away each time, because just the way that God works his miracles is literally through us and with us, right? He experiences all these beautiful things with us too. So why not we take this initiative to set that intention and just
And
put
be
it out there.
deliberate. Be
Be
deliberate. Set
deliberate,
the intention.
exactly.
Yep.
And as long as your consciousness is clear, your conscience is clear, your heart is clear, your
Yep.
mind, all of these things are clear. You're not doing anybody wrong, you
Yeah.
know,
Right.
everything works out. And as again, it just comes back to you. And that's what I say. You were asking me earlier, how do I manage the chaos? How do I manage the schedules? Just doing it all. And yeah, there are days when I feel like, man, I've really set my career aside, I don't have anything for myself. Like there are days when I feel like, man, I could develop some skills and kind of
Mm.
contribute to society and work. And but then there are days that I'm like, this is my
Yeah.
contribution to society,
Right.
like
Yeah.
raising healthy, intelligent, loving, caring humanitarians,
Yeah.
because the world needs that,
Yep.
right? And there are a lot of children out there that don't have that. And I'm hoping that my children can provide that support for them when they grow older, right?
Mhm.
As we're doing for moms and my peers, right?
Yep.
I'm hoping they can build their own community that way too, and
There you go.
just share the love.
There you go. So one last question, the final question here,
Sure.
and this is, I've heard you speak on this before, but I really liked it. Is because of the groundedness of who you are, and knowing the I am, the God spirit that's in you, and having that firm foundation, it now allows you to parent differently for the kids, right? So describe how that's changed for you.
Absolutely. I as a you become a mom, you become a parent. The children don't come with an instruction manual. They don't come with a set rule book that this is how it's going to be. There's no help, there's no guidance. You just learn as you go.
Yep.
And I think it's a matter of overcoming your fears, because I can speak for myself. I was a very fearful mother, like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this, and how am I going to give them medicine, and what's going to happen when there's just all of these
Yep.
things run through your mind, because you're responsible for a whole new life
Mm.
from the
Yeah.
beginning of the
Yeah.
life until at least they're a little bit independent. And even then, so they're going to come back to you for some sort of support, right?
Yep.
Um, so it's really overwhelming, but you keep going through these, like you keep overcoming certain things, and then you come out so much stronger because, again, like I shared with you, just being deeply rooted, I had this conversation with my son with, where we're growing our plants and
Yes, that's
how
what it
he,
was. Yeah.
yes, so we're growing these little strawberry plants, and he happened to bring it up and he said, why doesn't just, we add water and why doesn't it just grow right away? And, I had to kind of explain to him that the seed has to break open first and then go down within the ground and then come back up.
Yep.
Right. And I just had this epiphany. I was like, that's so much like us, right? Because we really have to go deep within ourselves in order
Hmm.
for ourselves to then blossom.
Right.
Right. Like if I look at myself as like a tree, right?
Yep.
And I really have to then deepen my roots within myself and kind of hold myself sturdy, because
Hmm.
otherwise the wind is going to come, people are going to come knock me over, and like all of these things can happen and I can just be a corpse, be corpse
Yep.
posed on the ground, right?
Right.
And
Right.
just not do anything. I can let all of that happen to me, or I can really spend time with myself and my inner knowing and getting
Hmm.
to know myself, because that's
Yeah.
like the biggest investment,
Yeah.
right? That's where the treasure lies. I mean, doesn't it even say in the Bible? I was going through verses earlier. It's, Luke 12:34 says, "For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also." Right. And I just love that because
Hmm.
it's so absolutely true. Look within your heart, look within your mind, and you'll see how powerful you really are.
Yep.
And that's been really, really, really monumental for me, because again, being a parent, fearful mother, and then now having to pull my kids out of public school and
Right.
not have that
Yeah.
comfort of knowing that somebody else is going to take care of all of that for me,
Yes.
and I'm
Yes.
going to get this like 3 to 4 hour break, like all
Yep.
of that was an adjustment. But then I look at the bright side. There's so many more positive things. The kids are happier, they're healthier, they're eating well, they're interacting better. I mean,
Yes.
although a lot of people have this whole this thing with homeschooling and socialization, and kids are not social. I don't think that's true. Although now, because things are changing, um, you know, they've overcome that too. And I'm
Hmm.
so I'm
Yep.
so happy that I can contribute, overcome my fear of my kids not being able to
Right. There you
socialize.
go.
That's a big
Right.
hump to, because
Hmm.
again, even my husband was just like, no, I don't want them to have that. I want them to have a
Yeah.
normal childhood,
Yeah. Right.
and I was like, I do too. I
Yep.
want them to experience playing in the playground and things like that.
Yep.
Um, but so far this has been a good experience, and it's made me become so much stronger too,
Hmm.
because again, initially I was like, am I doing this right? Am I teaching them the right things? And but then once I know that I'm doing the right thing and I'm okay, like I'm doing the best I can,
Yes.
nothing else matters. Like
Yep.
I can't let all this stuff.
And I think you talk about intention, but and intention, there's that vibration, right? Vibration of fear or doubt or anxiety or
Right.
joy or happiness or love.
Yes.
And if you are exuding that to your boys, positive or negative, they're
Yeah.
going to pick up on that, just like that umbilical cord, right? They're going to
Yes.
sense what you're sensing as well. It works both ways.
Totally.
So the fact that you're centered and grounded, and sending that vibration, um, definitely helps the atmosphere, and it helps them to know that they're loved and well taken care of.
Yes, exactly. I had this whole thing where I was going to share Bible verses tonight, because I just wanted to, I was like
Okay.
looking for, but now I'm like, I completely forgot to start out with all of that. I just got so nervous. I went into other things. But I totally agree with what you're saying. Like, again, in the Bible it says, Galatians 5:22 says, "But the fruit of the spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, and faithfulness." And to me that says by default that we're all these
That's
things,
right.
right? Like you said
Exactly.
that before, by default there were these things.
That's our nature, because God's spirit is in us. And
Yes.
and notice it's not fruits, it's not plural, it's singular. So the spirit produces all of that, But the first one is love,
Yes.
joy, peace, right? Those are the first three. And just knowing that love is that first one, that's what's going to be exuding out of us.
Yes, it's so powerful. And just to experience that as a mother with your children, it's,
Yeah,
and then to think that God feels that way for us,
exactly. That's right.
right?
Pretty
It's, I
amazing.
mean, it's just so beautiful. Like it almost like when I think about it, it gets me just, teary-eyed because
Yeah.
it's such a, it's an irreplaceable love, right? And not
Yep.
just unconditional, it's irreplaceable. Nobody else can do that for you.
Yep.
And so just again going off of thinking about, it starts with us, right? And just my one thing to moms is it starts with you. It's all love. Just start with love and loving yourself
Hmm.
first, right? And
Yes.
like Doug, you always tell me you cannot pour from an empty cup. You must
Right.
fill your cup
Hmm.
first in
Yep.
order for you to then give that to your children, give that to your husband, give that to your parents. You have to be full within yourself. And so another verse I'm going to share real quick is 1 Corinthians 3:16-17. It says, do you not know that you are God's temple and that God's spirit dwells within you, whom you have from God. You are not your own, for you were brought with a price. So glorify God in your body. And again, like I always say this too, like I never knew what it meant when they said your body is your temple, is a temple. I was just like, whatever. Like they're these like I used to call them hippies, which is not nice. Because I'm being called that, but
Yeah.
that's a whole another story for another day. But yeah, just I never understood that until truly, truly very recently. And it's been really wonderful to kind of think of myself as a temple and to know that I have the privilege of being that vessel and this almost this like just this experience filled um you know just this organism like that God
Yep.
has created, right? That I'm
Avatar. Yeah.
yeah, this avatar, yeah,
Yep.
very true. Yes, exactly. And just seeing, and I another I'm sorry, I know I keep bringing up verses, but just I was on it today and I just found
All
some
right.
really
Love it.
beautiful
Keep
ones.
going.
So what I really loved is, so this one, it says Matthew 6:22 says, the eye is the lamp of the body. If your eyes are good, your whole body will be full of light, right?
Hmm.
And
Yes.
that got me thinking to how much stimulation we take in each day, right? And
Mm.
that's why I think meditation is so important, because
Mm.
if your visual aid is constantly stimulated, your
Yep.
brain doesn't have a moment to think of anything else. It's processing all of this visual
Right.
stuff, right? This physical world, this physical
Hmm.
reality all the time, just processing it. But then when you're meditating, you're closing those eyes, right?
Right.
And you're within yourself.
Right.
And then your mind is kind of
Yep.
learning to let go of the external reality and focus on what's inside and explore that internal,
Yes.
whether it's dialogue, internal visualization, or whatever you have it. And that was one thing I wanted to share is meditation. It has helped me a lot. I think it would help
Yes.
other moms a lot. I
Yes.
would love it, if more moms incorporate that with their children. I love it that I do that with my children. They
Oh
are,
wow, that's cool. Yeah.
yeah, they're becoming much more receptive to it. Before it was like, I'm not going to sit down.
Yeah.
I'm going to be
Right.
jumping on the couch, mom,
Yeah.
but now it's like, okay, I'll sit with her. It's only for 10 minutes.
Yep.
I feel better. And it's always what's really interesting is if you can make it also fun for them.
Sure.
And I always like to ask them at the end of it, what did you see? Like,
Mm.
what was the picture in
Yeah.
your mind? What was your mind thinking?
Yeah.
And it's so interesting to hear what they have to say. Like,
They
you
got some
know,
pretty interesting ones.
yeah, yeah. And sometimes I'll have a tough time kind of figuring out whether my son is telling me something to like make me feel better that he
Mm.
did this with me, or if he's genuinely telling me like,
Right.
a nice story, or,
Yeah.
what he's actually seeing. But it's a wonderful way to bond, it's a wonderful,
Yeah. I remember with my kids, it was if they see it as being important to you,
yes,
then they'll see it that it'll be important to them. So it might not take shape now, but they will remember that
right,
the things that you did, um, the words that you chose, or whatever. But they'll remember the habits that you started. So like the meditation, right? So whether they're doing it or not, or they'll know that it was important because mom said it was important.
Right.
And when they get to be 14, 15, 18, whatever, they'll go, wow, I remember we used to meditate and that was really fun. I should probably do that. Right.
Right.
And then because
Yeah.
it was important for mom. But anyways, so
Yes.
yeah, good
Yeah. It's
stuff.
almost also, it almost becomes like a nostalgic thing too. Like, where
Yes.
they have memories
Yep.
connected with it, and
Yep.
like happy moments connected with it. Even with music sometimes, right? That happens with us too. Like
Hmm.
certain songs will trigger certain memories and certain feelings and emotions.
Absolutely.
And I mean, we're all beings of love
Habit.
and feeling. Yeah. And habit
Yeah.
too, right?
Yep.
So it's good to start with yourself and create good habits for yourself first, and then
Yep.
they'll follow, just like your ducklings, like,
Exactly.
the mother duck and the little ducklings following her.
That's
Like I
right.
always imagine that, like I have to be stern, I have to be, again, deeply rooted within myself, and just they have to see that, because if they see me vulnerable, they're going to feel vulnerable too. And
Yes.
if they
Right.
see me, just, I'm not okay, they're not going to be okay either. They're going to learn how to process their emotion through how I
Yep.
process my emotions,
That's right.
right? And
Exactly.
so,
Which is why you need to stay full so
yes,
that you can share
exactly,
that, right? You
exactly,
can't share something you don't have. So
exactly. And it's so much easier said than done. So please
agreed.
just take it, take it a day at a time, take it a moment at a time, and everything just, it works out the way that it works out.
So with that said, that's what a hundredfold is about, right?
Yes.
Is to give you the tools, the resources to help you along that journey. Now, granted, when we created this, it wasn't necessarily for moms with two, 6 and a 5-year-old, but the tools that are there are really helpful. 21 days of identity, 21 days of gratitude, especially the gratitude one where you're not taking things for granted and you're writing down your 10 blessings every day and you're renewing your mind. So I can imagine that a mom that's maybe struggling with self-esteem or maybe that postpartum, picking that up and being deliberate and setting the intention that, hey, I'm going to do this every morning, helps renew that mind and get you into a more positive state, a more state of gratitude. And then, of course, our monthly challenges, right? We had the Mindful May and April affirmations. So anyways, that's what a hundredfold is to get you the tools that you need. And certainly, if there's something that maybe we're missing, whoever's listening to this, the link down below is a link to our Facebook. It's also a link to our website. You can send us a note that says, hey, why don't you do something along this subject line? Hey, we're all for that. So please reach out to us.
Yeah, please do. Please share your story with us. We love to learn. I mean, I feel like every time someone shares a story, I always learn something from that. And
Yep.
I'm really grateful to be able to share this challenge, or this, just what we're doing for the month of May. I think is really beautiful. So
Yep. Miraculous May.
miraculous May. Yes. Let's share
Yes,
miracles together.
absolutely. All right, Rashi, any last parting words?
Um, yeah, just, I mean, I think I apologize if I was all over the place, but
No, you were right. You were right on it. No
just,
problem.
yeah. And, just again, this just the same thing. Just love yourself,
Hmm.
and love yourself, because God will always love you, love all of
Yes.
us, right? No matter what, even if you feel like you're not good enough, even if you feel like you're not a good mother, you're not doing something right, just know that you're not alone, because God is
Right.
always with you. And just create your own community, create your own existence, just make it beautiful.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. Oh, that's great, Rashi. So thanks for sharing that. And I know it was kind of unscripted, so it was like, okay, what are we
Totally.
going to talk about? But
Yeah, I know.
it was, as usual, it was always very good discussion with you. Your insights are amazing.
Thank you.
So I appreciate you taking the time and sharing your story. And again, part of Miraculous May, there
Yeah.
were several other miracles in there, probably
Yes.
like 4 or 5 miracles that sometimes we take those for granted, right?
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
but as those that are listening to this, you can pick those out and just know that those miracles are also in your life. And sometimes we just need to open our eyes to that.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. Totally agree. Thank you,
All
Doug.
right. Well, again, Rashi, thanks for your time. And that'll do it for this evening.
Thank you, Doug.
All
Bye, guys.
right. Bye for
Thank you.
now.